Hey everybody, welcome back to the Quantum Show. Got people in the chat room already. Welcome back to the Quantum Show. And, oh, okay. Jeanette says, it's nearly 2 a.m. here in the UK. Thought I'd come by and see your live since she's been checking me out. Welcome to the Quantum Show. Thanks for coming and checking me out live. Throw that up there for a minute. And yeah, just like it shows on the header, ufology. Now, y'all know this is a personal blog thing that I'm doing here. These are things that I've gone through. So I am not a ufologist. I will tell you, I'm not. I'm interested in it, but I'm not a ufologist. However, I do have experience in the field, so to speak. Okay, I am friends with Rich Giordano. Shout out. Link will be in the description after the show. All the links mentioned will be in the description after the show. And okay, my UFO experience has been limited to. Hey Brett, thanks for coming by, man. Has been limited to dots. That's my threshold right there, dots. And if it's a dot, I generally don't report it because it could be anything. But there have been several dots, you know. Um, I'm taking notes on the fly, so I know what references to put in after the show. Anyway, my UFO experiences have been limited to dots. I've been seeing them forever, dots forever, but they've all been dots, except for a couple of times when it wasn't a ship, it was a personal encounter. And I'm pretty sure this was the crown jewel of, and the other ones pale in comparison. Okay, I was asked to drive to. It was kind of a backhanded thing. We went to a Comic-Con in Indianapolis, and I'm looking at, hey YJ, your story will be featured today, and I'm going to leave your link in the comments later. But we're not there yet. But thanks for coming by, man. I saw you over at A Shadow and Sun. He'll be in next hours. And okay, I was asked to drive, and says come with me to this thing in Indianapolis. I was like, okay, sounds cool. It's a cheap thing. It's not like like Dragon Con or anything. It's small. Hey Joseph. Hey Joe. And I was like, okay, cool. It's cheap. I can go. I can swing it. It's not a big deal. And I did what I did at the Bigfoot convention or conference, and I went and talked to the people. And it was that was what kept me broad-minded enough to notice what happened. I was standing talking to an author, and I saw these two girls walk by. They didn't look right, and I kept looking at them. And this is before I realized there was some psychic stuff happening with me, right? And I looked harder, and they weren't human. Okay, it was as if Doctor Who fans, you remember the shimmer? Okay, the shimmer is a field effect thing that can disguise what's going on around you to those around you. Disguise what's going on, your appearance, to those around you. Okay? And it's a cute little, in Doctor Who, in the Whoniverse, right? It's an old little visual trick. And what it does is that's all it is. It's a trick. And it fools whoever's looking at it into thinking it's the projection you're putting up. It seems like that's what they were doing. But I was able to get through this field effect and see what I was looking at. Okay? Here's what they looked like. There were two of them, and then there was one, right? One individual. Got a lot closer, and I got a lot better look that time. The two that were walking by, I will go with the skinny one first. They both presented as women. Hey, Kathy. Okay, cool. Hey, Lauren. Talking about Indianapolis. Check it out. All right. The two were walking by. They weren't super close to me, but this is not a big place. It was not super far either. And she was walking as if she had to concentrate on how to walk. I recognize this as someone having club feet. If you know what that is, Google club foot, right? They have to learn to walk very differently than people who don't have club foot, right? And she was walking like she had to concentrate on every step. Her waist was a little bit high, her arms were a little bit too long, and she was really skinny. Like, we call it crackhead skinny. Beyond that, okay? It was like, it's hard to describe past that, okay? And seemed to have a little, like, hair about yay long, okay? Not super long, but not short. And had to concentrate on how to walk, okay? Now, that was her. Large eyes. Not super large, like big black eyes, but just like my eyes, just bigger, okay? Large-ish eyes. I think that was, all of this was part of the me looking through, okay? And you know, the thing that made me, well, one of the things I noticed was, this is a Comic-Con. Everybody's a fan except for the people who are vendors and security, okay? Those are the only two people who were not dressed in a nerd shirt or cosplay, which was obvious cosplay. These guys weren't cosplaying. They were cosplaying as humans, okay? That she was moving her arms too far out, like it was what she was supposed to do, right? As if she had been trained to do it. And then her legs were moving like she had clubfoot, okay? But obviously, and I got to looking at her, tennis shoes, nondescript. Her clothing, like I said, everybody's wearing nerd stuff, not them. They were looking like I would dress to go to work, which is no logos, no nerd stuff, and like a polo shirt, whatever. Not, not, not. I mean, didn't even have like a. It was a Transformers convention, right? Fanboy Expo in Indianapolis, and this happened this year, right? And they weren't supposed that. I don't know what they were doing there. That's the skinny one, right? Now the other one was not so skinny. She, okay, to your conventional thinker, she would be the fat friend. She was not fat, okay? She was heavily built, okay? And the only thing that said female were breasts, but they were very small on both of them, okay? Now, this person, thickly, heavily built, she was low waisted, arms were a little bit too short, not like tiny little arms, but just a little bit too short. And her head was shaped. You see how, okay, all humans' heads are shaped generally within some parameters, right? You have wider cheekbones going down. Mine don't go down that far, but they do go down, and to a chin, and you have this, and you have this, right? Hers was not like that. Hers was flat on the sides, round on top, round on bottom. Okay? Round on bottom. So it was like that shape. And her face was not right either. But you could see two eyes, nose, ears, mouth. Okay? That's what was shown to me. And Yeah, that's a good question. Perception of creativity. I don't know. I don't know where they come from. This is just the report of what I saw. Now those two were walking past, and I saw them, and I get the feeling, okay, when you go to a convention, you don't bother anybody, right? You don't pick on anybody. And that idea was put into my head like with reinforcement. Okay? Don't bother me. Like, do not disturb sign was up. And the fact that I noticed it was being reinforced, like I want logically, personally, I wanted to go talk to them. But I was so taken first by the appearance of these two people who looked like they had possibly genetic problems if they were human, right? If they were human, they look like maybe they were inbred a little bit or something wrong with them or maybe a car accident victims or something like that. However, it was too smooth. It was too, they were used to doing it. And they were walking along. I don't know. I can only assume they knew I was perceiving them, right? I talked to Arkey, perception of creativity, saying, "You're beaming up. I'm out." And okay, YJ. All right. Going back, looking at the chat, YJ says this. Interestingly, two people can be looking at the same thing and see something completely different. Once a person starts down the path of seeing reality for what it is, the filters start to fade away. Correct. The filters, I know they're there, but I don't use them. And his next comment was, heard other people tell me this exact story, just different time and place. And one of the people who told me said that the being posing as human, these two were both posing as human, turned and made eye contact and the understanding. Okay. And his next big comment, I'm glad I just commented the same thing as you experienced with the eye contact before you said it, because you just corroborated your, okay, well, awesome. And yeah, it was do not disturb. That's what I got. Do not disturb. Leave me alone. Do not disturb. And I was compelled to be polite and not approach these people, right? And so I didn't. And now that is unfortunate. But because it's not much more than that. But then a little while later, sorry, a little while later, I was still talking to the people, getting privately published books and swag and stuff. And this is in Indiana, okay? Fanboy Expo in Indiana. Another one walked through the crowd. Now, she was alone. She was one of the thin ones, right? Looked about the same, okay? Now, when you're talking humans, and this also cemented it in my head for me. When you're talking about humans, when you have an accident or you have genetic problems or stuff like that, they tend to be unique, except for things like Down syndrome. And because when you have, this was definitely not Down syndrome, okay? When you have things like car crashes and genetic anomalies brought on by inbreeding, then they're unique and they don't really reproduce in another person under similar circumstances because it's random. And this girl was built exactly like the other one, but she was dressed even kind of stranger. She was dressed, still no nerd stuff, okay? We're at a nerd boy convention. We're at a nerd kid convention. There's nerd stuff everywhere. She was wearing like earrings and rings and makeup and, well, maybe not makeup. That could have been part of the filter. I'm not sure. But the clothes she was wearing was the manager's outfit of the place I would work at, button up shirt like she was going to be, like she was in charge of something and she had to present well, almost like as if we would go manage something, manage an office. And well, I noticed her, and I don't, again, I can only assume she knew I was there and she knew I was aware of her being not human. Okay. And I was talking to an author, and I was like, oh my God, I just saw. Now, where I was standing, the front doors were the only in and out, but there was a bunch of front doors, like 10 front doors, right, for a big crowd. And this was not a giant auditorium. This was um, a smaller outbuilding of the auditorium. The auditorium was down the road, but this was a smaller exposition center, right? Now, back doors were all service doors. So there was no general in and out there. So if they were getting in with the crowd, now I watched everywhere. I even scouted around looking for them. They were gone. They were just gone. And our Keith says, yeah, they teleported out. I'm like, how? He don't know. They have a science that we don't know. And they have ways of doing things that we don't know. Okay, now that's the experience. Okay, I told people that was it. I have no more takeaway than what happened, what I witnessed, what I think I witnessed. Now, what else? There was another one, right? I early 2 years ago, I started taking reports of people seeing things because I work near the airport, and there have been a lot of airport sightings. It's on YouTube right now. Airport sightings. I will leave that link in there too. There's a Somebody started a trend to do airport UFO sightings. So uh, I had already had that happen, right? Anyway, I had a person, Maria from the chat room. Maria from the chat room. I had an interview with her, and she had a doctor who apparently was an alien or a hybrid, but she told me what she told me, but she also mentioned the nurse helper had. Now she was laying in bed in ICU, so she couldn't get up and examine this person. The person was, she called her a pudgy lady with short arms, not short like this, but just shorter arms. I'm like, hold on, pudgy, fat, chubby, kind of short, shorter than the doctor. Again, she's laying in ICU. She can't talk about it. She can't. I mean, she can't examine. So that's an interesting cross reference. I got my report according also with her report, and that is pretty cool. That is a corroborating report. YJ. And YJ is saying what you described sounds like Ebens. There's photos of Eb1 online. I'm guessing the body shape will match up to what you saw at the Comic Con. Possibly. I have to look that up. If you would, oh well, crap. Give me some keywords to look up, or like break a link in the chat room. You have to be mod to put a link there. But if you take the HTTP off, it'll post. But I have to put the HTTP back in. Um, okay, those that was the sighting. Okay, that I had, and Maria's description corroborates the other person. Now, there's a whole nother thing about this, the doctor. Okay, and by the way, if you have to go to hospitals, if you have to go to a hospital, maybe a clinic, I don't know, anything medical, watch for this description of a person. Okay? They're normally going to be a doctor, any kind of doctor, any kind of hospital. Watch for this description. Maybe around 6 feet tall, completely covered up, but has something obscuring their eyes, like a face shield or heavy glasses or something. Gloves, gown, scrubs. Can't see nothing but the back of their neck. Okay, you can see the back of the neck, and maybe white or light colored hair. Not like this, not like this, but more like this. Okay, white or light colored hair. Because I took I went from that description, right? That's what Maria described. There's El Paso is I don't know what's going on in El Paso, but all the hospitals have aliens in them. Okay, I said it there. I said it. You heard it on the Quantum Show. El Paso hospitals have aliens in them, and I never spent time at a hospital because I never needed to go there too often. But everyone who does end up spending time in hospitals sees these guys, and they're doing stuff. They're acting like doctors. So, and let me tell you, El Paso is separated from the rest of the state and the country in a big way. Okay, it's hard, nobody wants to go there. It's hard to get in, and let me tell you, it's hard to get out. It took me years. It's hard to leave, and um, I just remembered something. I thought I took a wrong turn one time, and I ended up driving away from the city after backtracking. Okay, Scott is saying, why El Paso? I don't know. I don't know. But I have taken two people's reports of now, Joe, if you're still listening, the next time you go to the VA, watch for that description. About 6 feet tall, so about your height, covered up, something obscuring the eyes, either thick glasses or splash guard or something, mask, can only see this part of the neck, light or blonde or white colored hair, gloves, scrubs, gown, the whole, all of it, right? Why El Paso? El Paso is very separated from everything. Okay, economically it's separated because most everything is right there in El Paso. Okay, there's nothing in El Paso except what is there. Not much from the outside works its way in, right? It's even hard to get freaking Amazon packages in El Paso. People would disagree with me because they order a lot of Amazon packages, but then that's okay. And it being so separate from the rest of everything makes it a great place to observe and do things. Not like a zoo, more like a workshop. You know what I mean? Makes it a great place to go to get stuff done that you don't want in the general public eye. Lots of stuff happens in El Paso, okay? And yeah, El Paso makes getting to military bases easy. Now, you're not referring to the underground tunnel ways, are you? I don't think you would refer to that. No, you wouldn't refer to that. Not all bluntly like that. No, they have interstates and stuff. Yeah, 3 bases within 50 miles. Yeah, the 3 bases I believe he's talking about are Fort Bliss, Biggs Army Airfield, and White Sands Missile Range. Those three. And if you're not talking about those, please correct me, because those are the ones that I know about that are close that we had stuff to do with. And oh, Scott, you nailed it. You nailed it. We're in a zoo. Let me enhance your description. Not a zoo, not so much a zoo, but more like a wildlife preserve. Okay, I don't think you've been here too much to hear my theory of that, right? Here we go. My theory of it is we're not in a zoo, not a zoo, so to speak. A zoo is where the animals are directly cared for, taken care of by handlers. Okay. What do you mean, Kathy? Possibly Clovis? What are you talking about? It's 9 hours away, from El Paso. Um. Okay. A wildlife preserve. Why do I say that? Because look at how we do wildlife preserves. Humans, right? Park rangers, humans. How do we do wildlife reserves? We stay back, we disguise ourselves from when we have to go in, right? Now we're talking lions and apes and gorillas and big apex predators, okay? What do? Let's say we need a lion sample, something part of a lion or a whole lion, right? What do? What's one way we do it? Let's okay. We sneak in and we're disguised as something else. Either a lot. I've seen cars have. This is in Africa, okay? In cars with straw mats put on top of them, so the lions don't think, and things that they smells like dirt, smells like something that the lions aren't going to care about, right? And they pop them with a dart gun, trank gun, tranquilizer darts. Okay, get your samples, do your thing, release them back in the wild. They wake up, they're like, oh wow, what happened to you? I must have hit my head or something. Another way, we go in with a helicopter, trank gun, the lion gets knocked out, do our samples, do what we do, put them back. They wake up, go, oh man, the last thing I saw was a light in the sky and a noise. Doesn't that sound like a UFO encounter? A lot of people's UFO encounters? And oh, I must have hit my head, or I passed out, or I lost time. And then either they remember or they do hypnosis to remember they had something going on. And yeah, YJ? Or humans are chosen. R. Keith Andrews was chosen. And me, I don't know, but I'm able to perceive this stuff. It's not obvious. They're trying, but the normal stuff doesn't seem to work with me because that shimmer effect that they did in the Comic Con didn't work on me, right? And the lights in the sky that I see, I don't think I was supposed to see them. And um, well, 6 to 9 hours is a pretty big hop, okay? And but Kathy, what do you mean by Clovis? Possibly Clovis. What do you mean? Okay, I'm looking for YJ. I don't see where you posted anything about a link. But anyway, um, yeah. So that's why I say Earth is okay, and just like in our nature preserves, we have groups that want to take samples. We have groups that want to get along. We have groups that want to poach. They want to take some of us. And the other groups are like, okay, well, you stay over there and you mess with those humans over there, and we'll stay with these humans over here. Okay. That's how we do our. Now, we don't like those guys, the poachers in our national or natural habitats, right? That we say this is for the animals, this is for the wildlife preservation. But we don't like the poachers going in there, but they get past us. We don't like the poachers. Same thing, but they agree. You stay over there, we'll stay over here. Kind of like the under the table agreement we have with poachers here, human poachers on Earth, to deal with animals, right? All right, and I like this. Yeah, you're not supposed to see the cameras on the Truman Show. Correct. You're not supposed to see the cameras or the camera operators. And yeah, on a map. Clovis doesn't look too far from El Paso, but when you get down and you drive to Clovis, it's a long way. It's an all-day trip just to go there and come right back. Because me and Joe did it. You know, I have heard this. That is the observation, right? That is the observation. But the people who, like our Keith says, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But that has been the observation. That seems to be what's going on. And maybe it's a byproduct of a certain genetic disposition. We don't know. We're just the animals here looking out. And Joe has posted a YouTube in the comments. And feel free to click the link and go watch. Not right now, later, but okay. And all right, that's my experience right there. Now, Scott is saying, I'm pissed it's not my family. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Because I don't think I would want to be the subject of scrutiny, you know? And especially by somebody who has the ability to thwack me and I can't thwack back. Or I can't prevent a thwack. Thwack, you know? And, but okay. Now, I hope that not a zoo, more wildlife reserve. So, and we're the dangerous animals. The people who are observing us say, don't get too close, they'll eat you. Plan 9 or District 9, not Plan 9, District 9. Don't get too close, they'll kill you and eat you, or they'll hurt you, or the other guys making the rules. If the monkeys get guns, then it's your fault, and we're going to make sure you pay for it. Yeah, don't give a monkey a gun. Do not. We're the monkeys. Our guns are not real guns. Okay, the closest thing to a real gun that we got is what our Keith said it today. Atom Smasher. He said it in his show earlier today, just before this show. Atom Smasher. He said it early in his show. But even it is not a weapon to us, right? It's a dangerous piece of equipment, but it's not really a weapon. Okay, yeah, District 9. Excellent movie. I love that movie. That movie's great. It is some tip-top science fiction right there. All about the human condition. District 9. And, okay, Joe says it's the Ebens story, that link. Okay. It is displayed. I will copy it. I will copy that and check it out. It will go to the show notes for after the show. So, okay, going back to the ufology topic. Right? I took notes. I got notes to talk about. All right. A lot of the ufology in the mainstream and here on these little shows. Now, my show, I'd like to say I've been shadow banned, but you got to be public and known to be shadow banned, right? So I'm not shadow banned. And yeah, knives are still weapons in the era of atomic bombs. Yes, true, true, true. Okay. In but in ufology, the thing is, the people presenting all these things, the balloons, the sightings, the tic tac, all this stuff, they're going on the assumption that we are of equal power to these guys. We are not. We are not. We are the subject of study like ants to humans. We like to study ants, bugs, entomology, whatever. And a lot of times, unfortunately, I say this unfortunately, when the study is over, the subjects of the study are destroyed, unfortunately, meaning killed. and that's not nice. So there are their rules in place to not kill as the study comes to a close. But we are not equal to them. Well, they're afraid of our weapons. No, we're afraid. They're worried about us blowing everything to hell, right? If you want it and I can't have it, I'll blow it all up. That's what they're worried about. They're worried about um, us because no matter how technically savvy you are, no matter how good, you always consider the possibility that it will break down, that your system will break down. That's just science, okay? That's just science. If you have all the safeguards in place, and I was working on electronics earlier, okay, just battery stuff, and I was taking all these precautions, right? Because I done sparked myself with a little 4-volt spark, and it was not much, but it was like, hey, remember, stupid, you're dealing with something that can kill you possibly. And um, yeah, okay. So even then those guys with all their fancy tech, they make sure because their system of observation could fail, and it has, and it does. Trust me. I mean, look at all the sightings that people report, all the encounters. Okay, but they are much higher tech than us. They have a different understanding of rocks and dirt than we do. Okay, we're just realizing that rocks and dirt are not the end of science. Because if y'all will look at science, all the materials and the stuff we've made, cell phones, plastics, and radio and radar, all of it's playing with rocks and dirt and the effect of rocks and dirt. Okay, radar, crystals, that's a rock. It's found in dirt. Okay, elements, aluminum, bauxite, that's found in dirt. That's found in rocks and dirt. Look at everything. Plastics, oil, found in dirt, in rocks, shale, rocks and dirt. It's all rocks, and all of our science has been rocks and dirt up to this point. We're just realizing that there's something beyond the rocks and dirt, okay? And that is the quantum realm. Welcome to the quantum show. Um, and that's why that's one of the reasons I'm doing this. I realized, wow, there is science beyond rocks and dirt, the effects of rocks and dirt, beyond radio, beyond the magnetic spectrum, right? And they know this and they employ it, okay? And we call that kind of thing high tech. I don't know if it's high tech or just better understood effects of rocks and dirt, right? But there's probably a lot more to it because, hey, I'm a human running a YouTube show using the effects of rocks and dirt to get it out. Yeah, Wi-Fi or yeah, wireless transmission. That's an effect of rocks and dirt. Creative, but still an effect of rock and dirt. And um, let's see here. In the chat, got Ben Killingsworth. Welcome to the show. I don't know if you've been here before. Not to interrupt, but when you get a chance later, would like to know your opinion on the 3 UAP shot down but allegedly not recovered. Close-up photos were taken and released of the China balloon. I think it's a dog and pony show. This is within the purview of the show right now. It is a dog and pony show. Um, the one with the boat, they're bringing up something staged. It was totally staged. If you're out in the field, right? Um, I would like to know. Yeah, Joe says one of those UAPs was a ham radio balloon. Yeah, That happens. Okay. Why not the other three? What other three? Refresh my memory. Okay. But okay, getting back to, we'll go back. We'll go back to it. 3 UAPs shot down. Hold on. Close up. Okay. The close-ups of the China balloon were taken by a civilian. Okay. And the unknown three. Picks of the unknown three. I'm not sure. And okay. Um, Dog and Pony Show. The saber rattling for Russia. And that's the reason they're using missiles to take down balloons. Saber rattling. That drone with the Russian MiGs and the fuel dump. Okay, people are saying it collided with the drone. I can tell you right now, okay, fighter jets, all jets are very fine-tuned machines, okay? If something goes wrong, if it collides with anything, it's going down, okay? They didn't want it to go down. They dumped it. Let me tell you about uh, jet fuel, okay? It is not like gasoline. It is thick and heavy, okay? It's more oily, thick, and heavy. It is not like gasoline. It's not watery and thin. It is thick and heavy. And if you have a spray of this thick and heavy oil going through a propeller, it's going to damage the propeller. Okay? And that is a little screw you to the Americans, and it's more saber rattling, right? Harassing. Why did they use the term harassing? Yeah, I watched Russell Brand talk about the harassing of the poor observation drone called a Reaper, meaning killer, and they're trying to sway opinion. Like, Russians bad, we need to deal with them. They were being mean to us. We were kind of infringing. They were kind of infringing. And I saw a comment that made no sense. About they were running without transponders. Um, okay, the FAA does not control Russia, all right? It is not international law, and they are attack vehicles, right? They are. That doesn't make sense. Okay, that doesn't. That statement. It was illegal that they were running without transponders. According to what laws? What law is going to tell Russia? Oh, and I heard somebody call Russia unprofessional. What did he forget to tuck his shirt in while he was buzzing the drone? Unprofessional? No, that's within the realm of professionality of military theater of operations. That is totally. Did he have a spot on his helmet that he forgot to buff out? Did we catch him with food in the cockpit? That's very unprofessional, Russia. We saw you as you blasted our drone. We saw you with food in the cockpit. That's very unprofessional. Yeah. Uh, it's thick. It's not. YJ is saying it's between kerosene and diesel. That's too nebulous. Nobody knows what that is. I know what that is. It's not watery like gasoline. Gasoline is slightly oily. You feel it. Jet fuel is thick and heavy. It's not like syrup. It's like 3-in-1 oil. Is what it. That's the best I can describe it, because um, it's thick and heavy, and it's very pungent. I do paperwork on aircraft maintenance, right? And they do fuel sampling tests, and they get it on the paper and they send it to me. Those poor scanners that I have to put that fuel through. But um, and I'm like, whoa, fuel day. Okay, it's a fuel day, and it's got this oily, really heavy oil, like cooking oil or 3-in-1 oil. Okay, that's the fuel, and when that stuff. Okay, they're also 30,000 feet up, right? Air is thin, and it's moving, and it's not a vapor. Okay, it looks like a vapor, but then I got some Windex down here. If I sprayed it, it's going to look like a vapor because it is a thin in atmospheric pressure. Oh my God, there's so much science here. You need to just look it up. Okay, I can't tell you, but that would happen to if that thing would have collided. First, it wouldn't have survived. The drone would not have survived long enough to continue taking pictures or even fly in a straight line. Okay, and so you could see the propeller is messed up. The fuel did that. The fuel is heavy as fuck, and it's going through this high RPM propeller, and it's takes on a whole, and it's 30,000 feet up. Okay, there's a whole lot going on that is not obvious. This is not spraying Windex into a desk fan, right? This is spraying heavy oil into something. There's almost no atmosphere. It's 30,000 feet. It's very thin up there. Okay, when I say thin, the atmospheric pressure is a lot less than right now on the ground. And you've got this heavy oil going through it, and this propeller doing its best to keep up with the thin air up there, the thinner air, the less lack of pressure. And then here comes this heavy ass oil going through it. It's gonna mess it up. Okay. If you do that down on the ground, different things happen. Take it 30,000 feet up. That's when you got what the and if they'd collided, they would have both gone down. Okay, not just the drone, both of them would have gone down. And there's a lot of environmental stuff at play here, and I just can't go into all of it. If you're into aerodynamics and that kind of thing, you know what I'm talking about because stuff doesn't act the same way here up there, and especially traveling at hundreds of miles an hour. All right, let me see here. Yeah. Um, YJ? I don't. Well, I'm glad nebulous. It's what I mean is it's like you don't people don't know what kerosene feels like. I'm glad. Okay. And cool. Glad you laughed about that. That's nebulous for people, the Walmart workers, the Costco shoppers. They don't know about that stuff. It's nebulous to them. It's like, oh wow, it's like electrical is invisible magic. That's what nebulous, you know. And let's see here. Oh, there's no telling. There's no telling. Maybe the jet fuel was intended to be a coating that impedes sensors and flush it. No, dude. Military, that jet was taking a piss on that thing. It's an insult. It's saber rattling. I was military, and I wasn't Air Force, not a pilot, but I was in enough JTF stuff and had access to Air Force and flyboys that they would say I took a piss on something at 30,000 feet or 40,000 feet. I was like, wait, what? And it's dumping fuel. It's an insult. It's like, haha, you can't do anything about this. And it's saber rattling from Russia to here, just like us shooting down balloons with missiles when a gun would work. Saber rattling. Look at what we got. Look at what we can do. We can shoot it from a quarter mile away, and it cost $1 million to do that. So watch us shoot down this balloon. Witness the overkill that we're capable of doing. It's saber rattling. And that's what they were doing. They were like, you're going to come out in international waters with your stupid little drone, your little RC plane. Okay, well, we're gonna piss on it. It's an insult. It's saber rattling. So, all right. back to the ufology part of it. I wanted to get that out of the way, right? And but we are not equal to them. Going back, okay. By the way, it shows 14 people in the chat. First hour, that's awesome. Thanks for coming by. If you like what you're seeing and hearing, well, mainly hearing because I'm sitting in a chair and not showing videos, no permission. Hit like and subscribe right now. If you like and hear what you're seeing, hit like and subscribe. The Quantum Show will thanks you for you coming by and participating in the chat. Hey, Lynn Ann. Lynn Ann is back. Yeah. Okay. I think you might have been talking about the pissing on the jet, right? It is not a war act. It is not an act of war. It is an insult. And I am not sure that's taking it too far, right? Damaging equipment is what they did. Just because we saw it doesn't mean it wasn't anything more than breaking equipment. It's like busting down a fence, or setting an unoccupied building on fire, right? That's what that is. It's not an act of war because nobody was hurt, and it was an insult for sure. It was an insult, but it wasn't an act of war. I see where you're going. That's kind of like that fear mongering. Okay, so don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Creativity, don't fall for it. It's trying to sway the way you think, and please try not to fall for it. Okay, but okay, going away from the chat for now, right? And okay, Raven is in the chat. Hey, Raven, thanks for coming by. I am glad to see you here in the chat room. I've already covered quite a bit of stuff and talked about the Russian bringing down our drone, and talked. We're not equal to the aliens. We are living in a nature preserve, wildlife preserve, and we are the apex predators. Oh, R. Keith is here. I did not see R. Keith in the chat room. I'm looking for R. Keith. Let me see here. My poor internet connection is struggling to catch up on the computer side. Well, I don't see R. Keith here, but I hope he is listening because he's one of my. Well, R. Keith and I, seem to be neck and neck in a lot of respects. We run parallel to each other on a lot of stuff. And I've been on his show. He's been on my show. It's been awesome. So, if you're here, R. Keith, glad you made it. Thanks for dropping my link. Your link will be in the show afterwards. And I think I did the show right this time because I actually published it before it happened. Okay. But okay, them not being. That's what mainstream ufology. I say mainstream. I mean, Third Phase of Moon, and all the CNN and the NBC and all those people, right? All the people covering it, the newscasters on mainstream TV talking about this. They're going from the premise that we are equal to them. We are not. Okay? We are the wild animals, and they're going, oh, the funny little cute humans, right? The meat monkeys with nuclear weapons, You mean that's what they ought to be saying. Oh, the aliens are worried about the meat monkeys with nuclear weapons that can wreck everyone's shit. That's what they should be saying, right? We are not equal to them, and we have been isolated from everything else. South Park had it right when the space money came up. Hey, Japan, stop building giant robots. But um, okay, no, they're not worried about us. Okay, like that. We are isolated. I don't know why, right? But I have a feeling Stargate SG-1 had it. We are the fifth race. We are the ones that should be on the Intergalactic Council also. And oh man, let me tell you, something happened the other day. I was talking to, speaking of the fifth race at Intergalactic Council, and let's say it, Atlantis ancient times, right? I was talking to Raven on the phone, right? And we were talking, and I said corn. How do people? We were talking about Atlantis. Now, normally this is just a topic of conversation, right? Talking about corn and the fleur de lis, the design. She had a ring and sent me a picture of her ring, and I was like, I freaked out. Okay, I had an emotional reaction, and it was much like a trauma response, where I was crying and shaking. My throat was closing up, and I was like, oh, what's happening? But I was getting all super emotional talking about Atlantis and surviving. And I was like, why did this happen? And Raven said, there's a memory there. I'm like, yeah, that's what it looks like. Because when you bring up someone's trauma, even if it's suppressed, they're going to have an emotional reaction. And I did. And I don't know where it comes from, why I had it. I have to our Keith. I said I have glimpses of and small fragments of feelings. That's all I got. And mm, and this is one of those. But this is a big glimpse and fragment, big one. It was not friendly at all. Um, it was first I was surprised and shocked, just personally, that I was having this happen. And Raven was there, and she kind of went quiet. I thought I freaked you out, Raven. I thought you were like, oh God, this dude's having a meltdown. Click, delete, delete. But no, that she didn't do that. Um, but which I've seen this trauma response in other people before about UFOs. I was little story, right? I was working as security in a hospital in El Paso. This hospital was brand new. Everybody was getting on, and I made friends with the X-ray technician, Richard. Right? Called him Rich. I made friends with him, and we were talking. He was big into UFOs. Now, he thinks he's a contactee. I haven't talked to him in years. Right? I didn't realize he was 30 years older than I was, but whatever. We made friends on an equal level, and we were talking about it at one point at the reception desk. We were talking about and there we weren't paying attention to who was around us. We were just talking to each other. Yeah, man, we did this and that, and there's this kind of UFO. And it was very earlier on, very years. This was years ago. This is like 15, 20 years ago, and we weren't paying attention to the people around us, other than not getting bumped into. The girl at the reception desk was experiencing a trauma response. She goes, Stop talking about it. We're both surprised. We look over. She's crying. She's shaking. She's scared, obviously. And I was like, "Oh, are you okay?" Yeah, yeah. Just stop talking about it. And she's like, her throat's. I'm like, okay. And this is a workplace, right? So you don't push it. And I walked away. We walked away. I still got written up, but and I didn't talk to her for a fucking year, a whole year. Sorry, F-bomb here on the Quantum Show. um, I didn't talk to her for a whole year, and she regretted it because she's normally a happy person, but you know what? That was a trauma response, and I think she was an abductee. El Paso Medical Center, or not El Paso Medical Place, Physicians Hospital. They're on the map. I don't know why, but they're on the map, right? And of all the crazy crap that happened there when I was a security guard, none of it happened on my shift. The craziest thing was someone walked through the building area, and I had to walk near them to make sure they weren't messing with equipment. That was the craziest thing ever, right? Other people were reporting all kinds of, but never on my shift, which is odd because crazy people all the time, but I never had to deal with them, which to me is really odd. Anyway, that girl had a trauma response, and that was like as if it was rape or assault or something, deep trauma response. And of course, I never tried to talk to her about it. She got me written up. So, but that's what happened with me talking to Raven. And I talked myself into it. It's nothing Raven said. I talked myself into it. And I was remembering something, and I don't know why. I said things that I don't normally say. Like, I said, the Fleur de Lis is from Atlantis, and nobody can tell me otherwise. I would not say that. That's not something I would say. Nobody can tell me otherwise. I am totally open to discussion for everything. But in that instance, it was, I felt so strongly about it, and nobody can tell me otherwise. That's not something I would say. I've never said that here. I've never said that on anything, except when it comes to Atlantis. And okay, Raven says there's a memory there, and I'm like, yeah. Wow, I've never been on this side of the trauma response. I've only witnessed them. Okay, it's the end of the first hour, but I will go ahead and go. I'm going to go through the chat and see what's going on. Talking about our Keith. Yeah. Oh, YJ, I didn't. First hour is not over yet. I've got to talk about YJ Overlander's video. He has a video on his channel. His link will be in the description below. Okay. He told me he's not going for a broad audience. He's going for the small audience. Well, you found it. All these people, I want all of you and all these people up here in the 15 that I show watching the show. I want you to look at the link and hit subscribe because he has a personal blog channel a lot like mine, and he does different topics, but he has a UFO experience, a few UFO experiences. The one I heard about, YJ, feel free to correct me, right? You went and you were you went to a place and there's a rock face, and I commented to you about it, and there was what appeared to be a blue disc that was stuck in the rock face, and it was glowing blue light, like LED light, glowing blue. And it was at night, so you could see it sticking out of the rock face. And I can imagine this, right? He was really good at describing it. And they had to run to the store to get beer before they closed, and then came back, and it was, wait a minute, no, that's two different stories, right? I'm pretty sure that's two different stories. Um, uh, but he saw, and it was near an airport, and I said, "Have you ever gone back?" And he said, "Yes, I go back there and I look every time." And I know I'm sure he goes there quite a bit. I was asking some basic questions, and of course, he's doing the basic stuff. He's looking, trying to recreate the conditions, going at dusk, going at night. It's not there anymore. But that sounded like it wasn't a crash. It sounded like it was a duck blind. It sounded like it was an observation office post, something. And um, the two lights, I remember the two lights that you saw when you went to go get the, the beer, and you came back and they were still there, and your buddy got freaked out. As soon as your buddy got freaked out, they disappeared. I'm pretty sure they were listening, and they were listening between the talk of me and our Keith we've had. They were listening on a quantum psychic level, and they were like, "Oh, well, they saw us. They're freaking out. We got to go. Let's hit this. We're out." And yeah, I will leave a link. That was an excellent account. Excellent account. One of the best I've heard, right? Mushrooms and everything. Okay, going through. And yeah, um, I seem to remember something. And LA Moon is saying, I seem to remember. I seem to remember something. Let me see here. Past life PTSD. Yep, YJ, possibly. Sounds like you remember. Not consciously, maybe subconsciously. Something's going on there. Something's definitely going on there. And more like past life PTSD. Yeah, yeah. There's definitely some past lives going on because I have made friends that we act like we know each other forever. And we just like click. Me and Adana, the girl from this, well, not the girl from the cemetery, the girl that was in the cemetery story. We click. Like we just got off the phone with each other 2 days ago, and we're back. That's how we got to be friends. It just kind of happened. Like we found each other. She was working, and I was a customer, and it just was like, oh wow. And it just works. I don't know. She's 20 something, 24, and Haynes is saying, I'm gonna have to figure what this means. Genetic memory from fallen angel DNA. NASA says we have 144 extraterrestrial genes in us. I cannot say that that's true. I don't know that. Right? We definitely have junk DNA that's not junk DNA. It's not junk DNA. It's like standby or safe mode. We are in safe mode. I'm with Jeremy Phillips on. I think his name is Jeremy Phillips. We're in safe mode. Okay. Yeah. This is uh, an interesting concept. I really like the AI in it. It's an AI, but it's not alive and it's not dead. So what is it? They never say. It's one of those interesting plot points. I need to watch that show, like actually watch it. And nuclear medicine. This is going back to the hospital talking. Jay, yeah, they're interested in it because I think they don't want us to weaponize it. And it could be weaponized easily. Okay. Oh, I'm not even going to get into it. But yeah, it could be easily weaponized. And I think they're also interested in how close we're getting to some of their tech with our nuclear medicine. And it's nuclear medicine. It's like almost an oxymoron. Joe a little while ago said, need to watch and be alert to what the UAPs are telling us. Uh, let's not use that word here, UAP. Seem to show up days or hours before a disaster sometimes. Yeah, sometimes, yeah. We do need to figure out what they're trying to tell us, right? Okay. And when I was telling my story, yeah, I do not act that way. When I got, it was obsessed and for sure, and I had adrenaline pumping. I do not do that. I don't do it. Just doesn't happen for me, right? That kind of reaction, that kind of behavior, it does not happen. I don't do that on any basis. I mean, there's no reason beyond that. But that was it seems like someone with a trauma response. I wish I'd have recorded myself. God, y'all would have been like, Nathan, what the fuck is wrong with you? And okay, this is when I said I'm going to leave a link and yeah, to YJ Overlander's page. He does his hobby stuff too, just like I do my hobby stuff, right? So, oh yeah, you'll get a link. And do you mean our Keith? I don't know. And when I called the thing sticking out of the side of the rock face, duck blind, yes, awesome. Um, because of Star Trek, they did that in Star Trek when Data had a haywire moment, and he had an invisibility suit. I don't even know what they call it in Star Trek, and they saw his head walking around, but they couldn't see his body. It just looked like a head floating. But it turns out they were post-industrial society. They knew all about that stuff. They abandoned it, and okay, YJ is also speaking here. When we were curious, they seem okay with us observing them. As soon as Jer felt freaked out, they took off. Yeah, that was his story. It will be in his video, in his link. Yeah, they definitely seem to be listening. It's almost as if they're sitting right next to us, right? And yeah, and there is a link between UFO encounters and spiritual, because Rebecca the Ghost Guide, I went to one of her live streams when she was still doing them, right? This was cool. This was cool. I went to one of her live streams on TikTok when she was still doing them, maybe about a year ago, and she had like hundreds of people in her chat room throwing questions, throwing questions, throwing questions, and I just said, all caps, aliens, question, 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 and she read out. Here's the response. I'm remembering it because I'll never forget it. Right? She goes. She looks at her. She's looking at her phone. Right? Let me just get the phone a second. She's looking at her phone like this. She goes, aliens? Well, we have some encounters and reports, and oh, I wasn't expecting that. That got a response. She's looking at one of her ghost people there with her, and she's, whoa. And he's saying, no, no, I'm not supposed to talk about that. She pantomime. She mimics what they say to, as if she can. She just mimics them. Oh no, I'm not supposed to talk about that. What? Talk about what? They know something? Ghosts that you can talk to know about something? Well, apparently, because they're not allowed to talk to us about it. And I'm like, I want to know. But they're not allowed to talk to us about it. Which is fine. Hey, Edgar. I don't have an abandoned mall local to me to go from. Okay, there have been oh, cool. Lots of links and things and lots of comments. Awesome. Keep going, guys. Awesome. I got people coming and going. That's okay. Jeanette, a few minutes ago says this has been fascinating. Well, yeah, I'm wrapping up this part of the show now, and it'll be on. I'll resume in a little while. Got to take a break. More coffee. I forgot to drink coffee this whole time. Spun up. Okay. Well, I'm glad you're liking what you're hearing, Jeanette. Thank you for coming by and participating. And let's see. I don't know which episode you're talking about. Are you talking about the Rebecca the Ghost Guide? I don't remember. I do have an IHOP, and I can say no aliens, no aliens in my local IHOP. Okay, maybe yours. It is El Paso, and you got to take a break from the hospital at some time. Yeah, I know what she's referring to. Read the headline, freaked out. There was no mothership. It was a scenario proposition. Stop. The Muggles are being led. They're being Muggles. So the possibility of it was a possible scenario. When I read it, you know what I thought of? I thought of a Star Destroyer from Star Wars dropping probe droids on Hoth. They're just choo, 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 and this giant triangle ship with a big open bay on the bottom, and these droids are just and they're choo, 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 all over Hoth, looking for in Dantooine, looking for the rebels. That's what I was thinking of, and yeah, Joe, you are completely right. I haven't seen her, him, whatever. Her. I'm going with her. Presents as a girl. Going with her. I haven't seen her in about 2 years shopping at the local grocery store. Okay? She's taller than the freezers. And they're 6 feet tall, 6 foot 2 inches something. She's taller than them. And she's shopping. And I saw her making the basket that they give them, the little basket. It looked like this big. It looked this big on her. They're baskets, shopping baskets that are this big. Okay? She made hers look like this big. And it was on her arm. Her arm was gigantically long. Okay. And yeah, shopping. In science fiction, where do a lot of the movies start? At the bazaar, at the marketplace, at Star Wars, Star Trek, all of them. They start Tatooine. um, yeah. Let's see what I didn't see this one at all. Yeah, I agree. They post little, what do they call those? Um, Teasers. Yeah, they goose us with ufology. And uh, hey, I didn't see you come in, Intergalactic. Welcome back. I'm actually wrapping up this part of the show. I'm going through comments, and IHOP was a bad place in the good place show. I can see that. Our local IHOP is local owned and operated, even though they got a big company and they send them people, and it doesn't work very well. They need a Spanish interpreter, and I wish I knew it that much. Yeah, I have. I listened to one thing where this lady thought she saw aliens in a grocery store, and she looked in their basket, shopping basket, and there were two aliens. Looked in the shopping basket and saw frozen chickens and pantyhose only, right? And the person reported that one said to the other, "Do humans eat chickens?" And the other one says, they do on TV. And she left. And she left. Like full of frozen chickens and pantyhose. I don't get it. And do humans eat chickens? They do on TV. And she left. Muggle report. That was her Muggle report. She got scared, right? She felt that do not describe, and that's how her mind interpreted it. In my guess, right? Okay, I understand what you mean, and yes, a couple that too. I knew that they meant, but it's still. Oh, hey, Ben, thanks for coming to the Quantum Show. Hit like and subscribe. Headline anything other than mainstream news? Yeah, yeah. Just getting people the fear factor. It's the fear factor. Trying to get people all freaking out and pliable. The cantina, talking about where where's the best place to start in the cantina. Intergalactic overhaul. That's where Star Wars pretty much started out. That's where they all hooked up together in Mos Eisley Cantina. Okay, you're. Yeah. Me too. I did the same thing. I did the same thing. Became a second Rebel Trooper. Yeah, I did the same thing. Man, y'all are kicking it in the chat. Awesome. And yeah, I wouldn't want them to be wearing the chickens and eating pantyhose either. It's not. That's not very nice. Okay, I know my throughput has been kind of okay. Uh, I hope they don't eat the pantyhose or wear the chickens. Hope not. And maybe maybe they thought that I don't know. It's all made up stuff at this point because I have no more information. That was a report on Coast to Coast AM from a caller to George Norrie years ago. I could barely remember, but that has been the Quantum Show first hour, guys. Thank you for coming and talking and being a part of the show. For as much as I can, I'll be coming back. I'm going to say in about 40 minutes. 38 minutes, 40 minutes. Okay? Got to take a break. Got to get. I'm revved up now. I'm revved up. Got people coming in. Shadow will be here. Raven, you will get a link to come to this next part. Um, yeah, okay. Uh, Edgar, no need to start deleting your comments now. Okay. Okay, Edgar. You didn't delete the comment. It just didn't show up. Gotcha. Okay. Thank you, Ben. I need coffee. This is coffee. I see Ben Killingsworth on the screen, and I see Bill. I need coffee. I'm gonna go get some more coffee. Make some more coffee. Okay. Thanks, YJ. Gonna make a whiskey and hot chocolate for when you come back. Okay, cool. I don't know if you'll need it. It's gonna be an interesting show when we come back in about 40 minutes. Okay. But thanks everybody. Thanks for coming in. Obligatory like and subscribe if you haven't already, and watch for links in the comments. And thanks for coming. Keeping it quantum. See you in just a little while.